Okay, the recording has started. So welcome, everyone. I'm Debbie Rimkus. I'm the Executive Director for AMATYC. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce a couple people from the AMATYC office that are here. Beverly Vance is here. She's the office manager. Kelly Spoon is here. She's our webinar coordinator. Chris Riola is here. He's our webmaster. And Barbara, I'm not sure I got your last name right. Barbara Leitherer, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Barbara is our International Mathematics ANet Chair, and she's going to be moderating today. And she's going to introduce our guest speaker. Take it away, Barbara.
Hello, everybody. So Dr. Shakalli is our speaker, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to her. So Dr. Shakalli has a bachelor's degree of science in mathematics and chemistry from the University of Notre Dame in 2007. Then she earned a PhD in mathematics from the Texas A&M University in 2012.
It's actually 12 right now.
And from 2012 to 2019, Dr. Shakalli worked at the National Secretariat of Science, Technology, and Innovation in Panama. And in 2019, she became the executive director of FUNDAPROMAT. And this gets me right to my first two questions for Dr. Shakalli. What is FUNDAPROMAT, and how was FUNDAPROMAT?
Actually, lucky, yeah.
Yeah. Barbara, sorry, Nate, I don't have any power to mute you, but you are not muted. Could you please mute yourself? Thank you.
Sorry, Barbara, do you mind repeating the question?
Yes.
That, we had
right.
yes.
Okay, so the first question was, what is FUNDAPROMAT?
Wonderful.
The second question is, how was it born?
And let's start with the first one, because it's the second one is quite longer. So thank you so much, first of all, for the invitation, and for all of you joining today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy days to come here and meet me in Zoom and chat a little bit about FUNDAPROMAT. So FUNDAPROMAT is the Panamanian Foundation for the Promotion of Mathematics. And I'm wondering, just out of curiosity, how many of you have heard about FUNDAPROMAT before? If you can please write it in the chat. I'm just curious if you've heard about us before. If you haven't, it's all good. I'm going to share the story anyway. If you have, this is going to be a bit of a summary. So while you're writing in the chat, we are a private nonprofit foundation whose mission is to change the negative perception that so many people have towards mathematics. And the way that we do this, we don't actually organize any classes or tutoring. What we do is that we play with mathematics. We organize virtual and in-person events. Everything we do is free and is open to the general public. And it's all based on games, puzzles, magic tricks, anything that can attract people towards mathematics. We work in motivation. So we want people to be interested or even to be passionate about mathematics. That would be fantastic. But even if they don't get to be passionate, that's okay. At least we want them to give mathematics a chance, an opportunity. So for 1 second, I'm just gonna look at the chat. Most of you haven't heard about FUNDAPROMAT. That's okay. I do hear that 2 of you have. Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you for that. So yes, we were born on December 6th, 2019. So we're only 5 years old, and we've already organized so many events. And we are super busy all the time, and it's so much fun. And so to answer Barbara's second question, so as she mentioned, I got my Bachelor of Science in Mathematics and Chemistry from the University of Notre Dame. And then I got my PhD in Mathematics at Texas A&M University. And I had no idea what I wanted to do after I finished my studies. I knew that I did not want to continue doing any teaching or research. And if you want to know more, I can, of course, share why not. But So I decided I wanted to go back to Panama, home. Oh, I should have mentioned that. I'm from Panama. I'm here in Panama City, Republic of Panama. And so I decided when I finished my PhD studies that I wanted to go back home. As I mentioned, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. But then I found a job at the National Secretariat of Science, Technology, and Innovation of Panama. So it's called CENACI in Panama, and it's basically like the National Science Foundation of the US. And so I was the executive assistant to the National Secretary, which was a very high position, and it was a really good position because I got to learn how everything worked within the National Secretariat and within the Panamanian government. So I learned a lot. And during that time, I created a program on math outreach within CENACI, in which I brought invited speakers to Panama to give talks open to the general public about mathematics. And it was a huge success. People loved it. They were always asking me, so when is the next event? What is the next topic? It was fantastic. So some of the invited speakers that I brought to Panama during that time, oh, by the way, just so that you have a sense of what time I'm talking about, this program ran from 2016 to 2019. While I was still working for the Panamanian government. And so we had amazing invited speakers like Arthur Benjamin and Michael Dorff and Elisa Cornell, Jennifer Quinn, James Tannen, Robert Lang, and many others. And it was just an incredible experience. And so there were so many people who attended these talks that we had to add extra chairs to the back of the rooms. And even when we added extra chairs, we had people standing in the back. So it was fantastic. Unfortunately, in 2019, we had presidential elections in Panama, and new authorities came with new priorities. And suddenly the program on math outreach was not a priority for the new authorities. And so that's when I decided that I had to create my own organization that was independent of the government and of every other academic center so that I could continue doing what I had seen was not just necessary, but people were asking for it. And so that's how FUNDAPROMAT was born. In that time, I had no idea what kind of organization it was going to be. Of course, a lawyer recommended to create a private nonprofit foundation. And we are affiliated to the City of Knowledge Foundation here in Panama.
Thank you. So what are your proudest achievements of FUNDAPROMAT?
Well, I would have to say that the fact that we're only 5 years old and we've already organized more than 700 events with more than 70,000 participants is quite a big deal. And the fact that we are also very well known outside of Panama is something quite interesting. We organize one math webinar in English per month together with the Mathematical Association of America, together with the MAA. And that has also helped us a lot to spread the word about what we do. And actually during the pandemic, we were better known outside of Panama than within Panama. So it was interesting that starting 2021, we had to make a greater effort to work within Panama, and not just Panama City, but also in the provinces. And so now, after several years, I can finally say that whenever I visit a school, like I just did, like a few minutes ago, I was actually giving a teacher training session, in-person teacher training session at a school outside of Panama City. Now when I go to these events and I ask the same question that I asked here, like how many of you have heard of FUNDAPROMAT, at least 1 or 2 or sometimes even 3 people in the audience have heard about us. And that didn't happen in the past. So I'm very excited that it seems like we're doing something right, basically.
Great. So what are the greatest challenges that you have had to face or are still facing with your organization?
Well, I think that this is the case for any nonprofit that you talk to right now. Fundraising, it's a big one. In the past, I would have probably said all the bureaucratic government things that I had to deal with when we were just trying to get the foundation to be legally created and whatnot through all the different government entities. That took forever. We finally have all of that done. It's been several years that we've done all of that. So it always, I guess, depends on the timeline. And right now, I think our biggest challenge is fundraising. And as I mentioned, it's not just us. We form part of CAPADESO. So CAPADESO is the Panamanian Chamber of Social Development. And all the nonprofits in Panama form part of that chamber. And we've been talking about this. This year has been very difficult for all the nonprofits. And I'm sure it's not just here in Panama, but it might probably be something of like all around the world, given the current situation.
Okay, so the next question I would like to explain a little bit so that you understand our audience, right? So we are namely math faculty and professors who teach students in the first 2 years of college. We may have some four-year university faculty here as well, but we are mostly teaching students in the first 2 years of college. Some of us may teach calculus at different levels. Some of us may teach statistical methods courses, and some of us may teach math for elementary school teachers. So the next question I have for you is, how can FUNDAPROMAT support the professional development of faculty who teach students in the first 2 years of college?
Excellent question. Okay, so I think now would be a good time to share my screen. Hopefully everything works out because I want to share our website, the FUNDAPROMAT website, because that might be easier for me to explain everything that we can do for all of you. Okay, so this is our website. I should probably, let me do one thing. Let me go back to the original website so that I can show you how to open the version in English. So I'm going to write it in the chat. So it's fundapromat.org. That's what we're looking at right now. And then on the top right, it will open in Spanish, by the way. So on the top right, you can select English, EN. And then I should mention, this is not Google translated. It's correctly translated into English, so you can trust the translation. Okay, so this is our website, and I want to start with the buttons on the top. So here is our calendar of events. So as I mentioned, we organize virtual and in-person events, and everything we do is free and is open to the general public. Now, clearly, you're probably most likely gonna be interested in the virtual events. So let's talk about those. So I'm gonna click on calendar, and then I'll come back and show you other things that you might be more interested in. So as you can see, it doesn't seem like we have so many things in the calendar right now. And the reason is because we have way too many private events happening, which is wonderful because it means that more people are interested in learning about mathematics in a fun and entertaining way. So some of them we will post here after they take place, but usually we don't post private events because clearly they're private. So I should also mention when it comes to the virtual events that most of them are in Spanish. So if you by any chance have a big community of students that speak Spanish, this is fantastic because then they will be able to enjoy them. How do you know if the webinars are in Spanish or in English? It's very simple. The ones that are in English will say in English. So for example, this first one says math webinar in English. So we had this webinar on September 3rd, in which our invited speaker, Dana McKenzie, talked about how to solve a 2,000-year-old problem. I should mention these webinars are simple. They're not advanced mathematics, so you can share them with your students. You can actually, with the whole community can join these webinars. So they're not advanced. Now, all the other activities that you'll find here are going to be in Spanish. So for example, our Math Jamboree is a virtual event that happens once a month and in which we separate into groups depending on whether the participants are kids or adults, and we explore a fun math outreach activity with collaboration and a lot of fun. And I should mention that so far we've organized 118 of these Math Jamborees, And all these math outreach activities are available to download for free on our website. And I will show you where in just a little bit. I want to finish with the calendar first. So for example, we also had this webinar, Leonardo da Vinci, Art, Engineering, and Math. This one was in Spanish. The other way that you can notice if it's in Spanish or in English is the flyer. If the flyer is in Spanish, the webinar is in Spanish. If the flyer is in English, the webinar is in English. Oh, and by the way, I should mention you can click on these. So for example, let me go to October because this is an in-person event. So let me go to next month and show you what we will be having next month. So here we'll be having a math webinar in English. I don't know how many of you know about VZone. If you don't know about VZone, we're going to be talking about the mathematics of VZone on October 8th, and you're more than welcome to join. As with any other webinar, we do have a registration link so that we can email you the Zoom link so that you can join. And we also have an abstract, so just in case you're curious about what we're going to be talking about in this webinar. So let me go back to October. So this is a webinar that we're going to be having in Spanish together with the Mathematical Museum of Catalunya in Spain. And we're going to talk about games, strategies, and math. So I just wanted to show you the calendar. I'm not going to go through everything, but I just wanted to show you the existence of the calendar of events where you can find out more information about our upcoming events. And if by any chance you're ever in Panama, you're more than welcome to join our in-person events. Now let's go back to the main page because I want to show you the teaching resources that we have available. So I clicked on home. By the way, if you want to go through everything else, you're more than welcome to. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer those. But first, I want to show you the teaching resources. So the easiest way to get to that is scrolling all the way down, but I'm going to go slowly so that I can show you everything that you can find in our website. So this link right here that says here, that talks about the free events will also take you to the calendar of events, the same link that the button that says calendar will take you. So there's two different ways to get there. We also organize private events like I mentioned, and here you can find out more information about the private events. And here's more information about what we offer. These are news about our latest activities in person and virtual. These three are in person, actually. And then you can find out about our sponsors, our partners, and now we're reaching the part that I want to show you. So here I mentioned teaching resources. That's this link right here, but I'm going to go through all of them just so you know what they're about, and then you can explore or you can ask me more information about them, of course. So we have a Factorial magazine. It's a magazine that is full of articles that have math outreach articles. It means that these articles are, of course, about mathematics and they're accessible to a general audience. I do have to mention that we have 4 issues of the Factorial magazine available to download for free on our website right now, but they're all available only in Spanish, just so you know, for now. We also have a program of young ambassadors. This program is for 15-year-old and under. And it's not just for Panamanians, but kids from all over the world who join and participate in many of our events. And then we invite them to become part of this program. The calendar of events is another link that can take you to the same calendar of events that we already saw. What we offer is a summary of the different things that we organize, and we can go back to that if you would like me to share more about everything that we offer. What's new is the latest news of the events that we've organized recently. And now I would like to look at teaching resources. So this is the part that I think you might be mostly interested in. And so, as I mentioned, we've organized 118 math jamborees so far, and all those activities are available to download for free on our website in this link right here. I do have to mention that all of these activities are available in Spanish, and you can make your own copy so that you can manipulate them. So I'm gonna click on it so that you can see what I'm talking about and you have an idea of how you could use them. Feel free to use them, by the way. We want everyone to use them. So suppose you're interested in any of these activities. Let's look at this one, piedra, papel o tijera. In English, that would be scissors, no, rock, paper, scissors, the game, except that we kind of changed it a little bit. So I'm gonna open it so that you can see what it looks like. And I'm also gonna show you how to create your own copy, because when you open it, you're not gonna be able to modify it, because imagine if everyone was able to edit it, then they would change it completely. So you can view it. If you want to modify it, you click on File, and then you can make a copy of the entire presentation on Google Slides, or you can download it on PowerPoint or PDF. And so, as I mentioned, all these activities are available in Spanish. I didn't say something which is important, is that all these activities are for 4 years old and above. So the first few puzzles are very simple of all of these activities, and then they get more and more interesting. We've used all of these activities in our virtual events as well as in our in-person events. However, we don't use those activities that have way too many words, way too much text. We don't use those as often in our in-person events, because usually when you run in-person events, you want something that's simple to explain and quick, so that you don't lose the participants' interest. And so that's why we'll use those activities that are easier or faster to explain. If you see way too much text, we'll use them only in virtual events, not in person. So let's see, is there anything else? Do we have any questions? I'm curious. Oh, we do. Okay, so maybe I'll pause here and answer a few of your questions, and then if necessary, I can share my screen again, because we do have a few questions in the chat. I know that Barbara has more questions for me, but do you think, Barbara, I should answer these first?
Yes, please go ahead. I think that they fit all very well into what you just said. I'm sure this is good.
Excellent. Okay, so Holly asked if we have any tracking data. Beyond people recognizing our program, has there been measurable effects on your population of students? Excellent question. So we actually only gather information about the people who have attended, if they're kids or adults. Basically in Panama is whether they're 18 years old and above or below. That's it. That's what we mean by kids. And we also gather information on the countries that they're from. Countries, or in the case of our in-person events, the regions of Panama that they're from. That's all the statistics that we have right now. And the question about the effects, we always have a survey, either for our virtual events or our in-person events. So in the case of our virtual events, we're always going to send out a questionnaire after the virtual event, because we always want to hear feedback from our participants. And so people can take advantage of the questionnaire and send us their comments, ways to improve the services that we offer. That's so important for us. So if you've participated in our webinars, please make sure that you fill out the questionnaire. It is such valuable information for us, because we always want to be better. And for our in-person events, we also have a survey that the participants fill out. And it's very important to have these this feedback so that we can analyze how we can improve our services. Let's see, would be so great to use with our math. Yay! Thank you, Kelly. Love your comment. Oh, I'll read it just in case. So Kelly's comment says that some of these resources would be so great to use with our math club on campus. Yes, feel free to use all of them. Oh, I should mention something else too. When we design the activities, because the activities that you've seen, the Math Outreach activities that you can download for free on our website, those have been designed by our team of activity designers. These include national, so Panamanian, and international volunteers. And we always put a lot of effort into not just the math content, of course, but also the design, the art. how it looks. It's very important because we want to attract people towards mathematics. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that when you convert these virtual activities into manipulatives, we always try to use cheap manipulatives. So basically, puzzle pieces, anything that we can find even in our houses, so that we don't have to spend a lot of money converting these activities, so that anyone can do this. So we clearly in FUNDAPROMAT, we also 3D print some of these pieces, which cost a lot of money, but that's because we organize so many events that we don't want our manipulatives to like die quickly. So that's why we will spend some money in our puzzle pieces. But anyone can convert these activities into manipulatives in a very cheap way. And if you need some advice on this, you can always email us and we would be happy to meet with you via Zoom, even if it's just for 30 minutes, and give you some advice of what to do and what not to do, because we've used all of them, like I mentioned. So we have another question. So these activities are in Spanish. The math outreach activities that I mentioned that are shared, that I shared in my screen on our website, those are in Spanish. I think they're easily converted to English because it's not very complicated when you don't have that much text. And remember that the ones that have too much text, we don't use in our in-person events anyway, because kids get easily distracted. But if you need if you have any questions, need any help, if you're not sure about an activity and you want to use it in English, you can always email me and I would be happy to help with that too. Can the PowerPoint that you copy be translated into English? Which PowerPoint?
Well, you just said something. I mean, this question relates to the activities in English that you just answered.
Yes. Okay, great. So Barbara, I'm done with the questions in the chat. Oh, wait, no, Kelly wrote another one. Let's see. Are there any plans to add grade band information to the resources? That's an excellent question. So our purpose is to attract everyone towards mathematics, because we've realized that in order to change the negative perception that so many people have towards mathematics, we can't just work with students and teachers. We have to work with parents. We have to work with community leaders. We have to work with everybody. And so since that is our goal, we're not emphasizing on whether this particular activity helps you to learn this particular topic. So that is something that some teachers do use. So they will use these activities in their classrooms for particular areas of mathematics, but that's not the goal that we have to create these activities. Now we are, given that I've said that, we are right now working on a new program. So I love that question, Kelly. So we're working on this new program starting next year, in which we're going to be offering workshops for teachers. So right now, everything that we offer is open to the general public. But starting next year, we're going to start offering workshops specifically for teachers, and they are going to be aimed at different math areas. So we are going to have something similar to what you're asking about, Kelly, starting next year. And the reason is because they've asked us. The teachers have asked us to do something like this. And so we listen. Believe it or not, we do listen. Barbara, I'm all yours.
Okay, so you just transitioned into the question that I wanted to ask you as well. So you said that you are going to do teachers training. So would you be open to collaborate with some AMATYC professors and become maybe a guest speaker in one of their courses that they teach?
Of
Would
course.
that be an opportunity that you could consider?
Yes, of course. I already do it. I already do it. So for example, Brigham Young University invited me to speak. I think it was last year or the year before. After the pandemic, my years have all like mixed all up. So I'm not sure when exactly I was invited by Michael Dorf to travel there. So this is a little different because it was in person. And I did actually give, I think it was 2 presentations there. One was for students. The other one was for a different audience. So I've already been doing this, and I would be happy to share everything that we have, all our resources, everything we've learned. I also give different kinds of talks. So for example, there's a university, I'm trying to remember, there's a university in California, I don't remember the name right now. They've invited me to give a different kind of talk. So it was a math outreach talk, and I gave a more interactive presentation for their university students on toothpick puzzles. That was a lot of fun. So yes, there are different kinds of presentations that I've been giving throughout the years, not just in Panama, but also abroad. So if you're interested in any of these, feel free to email me or let me know, and I would be happy to talk to you about what would be most appropriate for your audience. And I really enjoy this. So I really love what I do. I think you've noticed that already. So yes, feel free to email me. I just wrote in the chat my email. I think I wrote it correctly. Yes, we're good. So yeah.
Okay. So then I have another question. You know, the international ANet at AMATYC deals a lot with international collaboration. So we would like to maybe co-teach a module of one of our courses with some other university or college. But for that, you need to be connected to another organization. So would you be open to connect AMATYC professors to international schools, colleges, and universities in Panama so that we could follow through with this idea?
Of course. Yes, I have contacts.
Okay, very
Oh,
good.
Barbara, I should mention, I have contacts not just in Panama, but in other countries too. Since FUNDAPROMAT, we organize virtual events. My speakers are from all over the world. So if you are interested, and well, not just Barbara, but everybody who's listening, if you're interested in another country, not just Panama, you can always email me, and I most likely will have a contact there. If not, I probably know someone who knows someone.
Well, that's very good, because the idea is that we would start to grow a math network right across borders that could help and support math teachers in both the United States and Panama. And that's something really valuable. And so I think this would be great if we could take this as a starting point to actually collaborate more with each other and help each other with this.
Sure.
So I think you have already given us the outreach activity. You have shown us the calendar with upcoming events, and you have shared the website with us. Okay, so my question before we go before we open up the floor for the participants, my last question is, what can AMATYC professors do to help you in your nonprofit?
Well, thank you so much for the question. I think the main thing is to promote. Since everything is free and is open to the general public, anyone can join. So feel free to spread the word about what we do. Also, I did mention that we can meet via Zoom and give advice of what to do and what not to do. For example, if someone is interested in doing math outreach but has never done it before and doesn't even know how to start, we also do that for free. So we'll meet with you via Zoom, and we can just chat and give you some advice. So I think that would be the first one, just to promote. And the second thing is, well, as I mentioned, we organize math webinars in English, one math webinar in English per month, together with the Mathematical Association of America, together with the MAA. So if you feel like you have something interesting that you would like to share with our audience, then feel free to email me and propose the topic. And we would love to have you as an invited speaker in one of our upcoming webinars. This year, we have everything already set up, but next year, we already have, I think, 2 or 3 speakers. So we still have space for new speakers. So if you're interested in sharing something, clearly it has to be math related and it has to be accessible to a general audience, which means that kids and adults have to be able to understand it. So we don't talk about advanced math. So if there's a research result that you want to share, this would probably not be the right place to do that. But if you want to share about your favorite game, your favorite puzzle, your favorite math problem, something that you find interesting and exciting that you can share with your family members who are not necessarily math oriented or math involved, that would be the perfect topic for us, because remember that we want to attract people towards mathematics. And the third thing, which is probably the hardest, but I'll still mention it, if you know of any company, foundation, anyone who might be interested in supporting our math outreach efforts, feel free to put me in contact with them, please. We need their help right now. So yeah, I think that's it for now.
Great. Then I would like to thank you for the wonderful and really charismatic presentation and conversation we have had. And we want to open the floor for questions. So if anybody is here with questions, please let us know.
Should we mention that they can write it in the chat or turn their microphones on? Can they turn their microphones on? Yeah, right? Okay.
So if you want to rather write stuff into the chat, then please go ahead and do so.
So while you think of questions, I would like to share something else with you, if you allow me to do that, while you think of possible questions. So the reason that I decided to start FUNDAPROMAT, it's because when I was little, I had my dad. Well, my dad is still alive, but when I was little, my dad was the one who taught me mathematics in such a fun way, in puzzles and games and magic tricks, and I loved it. And after a while, he would start explaining math, but more advanced. So for example, if I had a test in which I had to learn how to add, my dad would teach me how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And I'm like, Dad, I would get so mad. I would be like, why are you teaching me all of this? I don't need to know all this information. I just want to know how to add so that I can pass my test and be done with this. But no, he would teach me more than I needed to learn for that particular class. And so at the beginning, it would be very frustrating for me because I would get mad. But then when the professor in school would teach that particular subject or that particular topic, and I had already seen it with my dad, then it was much simpler for me. It was much easier to understand it because I had already seen it with my dad. And so then I really started liking it. And so I started solving the most difficult problems in the textbook because I started challenging myself. And then I went to the Panamanian Math Olympics in Panama, and I won. I won a gold medal and I won a bronze medal in the Panamanian Math Olympics, and it was fantastic. I was like, this is the best feeling in the entire world. Nothing is better than this. Youth. Anyway, so then I decided that I wanted to study, of course. I wanted to go to university, but I had no idea what I wanted to study. I didn't know that math was a possibility. So my mom wanted me to study medicine because she is a pediatrician. And my dad wanted me to study something that had to do with finance or business administration or something like that. And I was like, ugh, I'm not very convinced about either of these. I'm not really sure this is what I want to do. But then I got accepted in several universities in the US, and I chose Notre Dame. I'm giving you the short version. I can give you more information if you would like, but I chose the University of Notre Dame. And the good thing about studying there is that I didn't have to decide what I wanted to study until the end of my first year. And so since we all had to take the core courses, one of those core courses was math. And I realized, wait a minute, I love this. Math is so much fun. Can I study math? And so that's when I decided, you know what, math is a well, first I found out that math was a possibility, and then I decided that I wanted to study math. But that's how I ended up studying math. I didn't know. So in Panama, no one told me that mathematics was a possibility. And I thought that was interesting. Okay, so we do have a question. Debbie, can you describe your favorite in-person event? Ooh, just one. I have had so many good ones, Debbie. Okay, how about this? Can I share anecdotes? I think that might be, because I can't just choose one. There have been so many good ones. I can share you a positive anecdote that I had in a recent in-person event. So we went to an area in Panama called La Chorrera, and we went to help these kids from Ciudad del Niño. So the Ciudad del Niño is kids' city. It's a weird translation, but yes, that's what it means. It's a foundation that helps kids in need. And we did a math party for them. Of course, we had a sponsor to do this activity because it's like an hour away from Panama City. And there were 4 different tables with boys in each table. I don't know why they have all boys in that particular place. They had all boys, and they were separated in 4 tables depending on their ages. And the math party was a huge success. It lasted 2 hours. They did many different math activities, and it was so much fun. And then, as everything, it had to end. And when it ended, I saw a little boy, 7-year-old boy, and he was crying. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? So I went up to him and I asked him, are you okay? What happened? And he just looked up at me with tears in his eyes and said, I want to keep playing. Yeah. When people ask me why I do what I do, it's just priceless. Those moments are priceless. I'm getting emotional. Okay. So yes, I can't choose just one in-person event. It's just so much fun. And the feedback that we receive, not just from the kids, but from the parents. The parents don't think that their kids are able to do these puzzles and games and even do math in general. And I'm like, please don't say that. That's like the worst thing that you can do for your kid. Just don't say that. Be supportive. Even if you as a parent had a bad experience with mathematics, please don't share that with please don't pass it along to your kid. Give your kid the opportunity to explore the beauty and richness of mathematics. So yes, I have another anecdote. I have many, but I just thought of another one. So let's see. Let me see if there are any other questions, or I'll share the anecdote. Okay, no, there aren't any questions in the chat yet. So I'll share the other anecdote. So it was at a math carnival in a mall, and it was also outside of Panama City. By the way, did you notice both anecdotes are outside of Panama City? That's why it's very important not just to stay in the city, also to go to the provinces, to go outside. Anyway, so we organized a math carnival at this mall, and at some point during the event, there was a mom with 2 boys. I don't know why these anecdotes are with boys, but anyway, so there was an older boy and a younger boy. The older boy just walked into the math carnival. He was fine. He was just enjoying himself. The younger boy, when he heard that it was a math carnival, he didn't want to go in. He said, no, I don't want to, little boy started like, I don't want to go in, and the mom was like, no, come on, let's go, da, da, da. So finally, she got the boy to go into the math carnival. After a while, since I'm supervising the event, I'm not paying attention to every single detail. I'm supervising the work of the volunteers. I'm looking at everything. Some time passed by, probably like an hour and a half or something like that. And then when I look outside, I see that the mom is already outside with the older brother. And I'm like, where is the younger brother? What happened to him? And so I look around, and he was still inside playing. He didn't want to leave. He didn't want to go in. And then when he finally was convinced to go in, then he didn't want to leave. And the mom had to leave because she had some kind of commitment, and she was already waiting outside with the older brother, and the younger brother did not want to leave. So those are the kinds of anecdotes that I think that are the most priceless that I can share. More questions, comments, doubts?
Well, thank you so much for your wonderful conversation. So you are very inspiring, charismatic, and I can sense that many kids really want to play, more than in the beginning. So thank you so much. And I think that would end or complete our presentation, if there are not any other questions.
Sure. I just wrote in the chat my email, just in case anyone prefers to contact me directly. Kelly, you turned your microphone on. Yes, go
I
ahead.
was just gonna do the final wrap up if there weren't any more questions.
Go for it. Thank
All
you.
right. I did want to thank you. My son is in Spanish immersion first grade right now, so he is learning math in Spanish. And so I'm like, these resources are going to be great to share with his teacher and play with him. And like I said, I'm the advisor to our math club on campus. And one of our goals as a club is always to like make math accessible to all and have fun with it. So I'm looking forward to like maybe watching a couple of those webinars with the group. But I wanted to give a couple of last logistics for those folks who came. Our webinar series is sponsored by McGraw-Hill, so I want to mention them and give a thank you to them for sponsoring our webinar series. If you are not already an AMATYC member, we highly encourage you to become a member. For those of you that are in attendance, you should receive an email early next week from me that'll have a post-session survey as well as a certificate of attendance. So if you're needing either of those things, those will get sent out next week. And then a big push to join the webinar series. So if you have something specific you want to talk about, it doesn't have to fit the traditional format of a webinar, right? It could be something like this, a conversation. We're really open to new ideas as we move forward in this year. So feel free, if you have something you want to propose, there's the link, there's the URL that'll take you to the form, or you can just shoot me an email and let me know what you're thinking. And, you know, if you want someone to help brainstorm too, I am there for you. So don't feel like you have to come with a fully formed idea for what that might look like. So with that, I want to say thank you to our presenters. Thank you so much, Barbara, Jeanette. Thank you guys for offering to share more about what you're doing, and to the International Mathematics ANet for coming up with this idea. And we hope to see you in Reno.
Kelly, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Would it be possible for us to take a photo, like a final photo of those who would like to turn their cameras on?
Yeah, let's go ahead and stop the recording. I don't think I have the ability to, but is Debbie still around?